Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over. As Donald Trump assumes the presidency, what are his priorities and how might they be received on Capitol Hill? To discuss this and much more, I'm joined by the Washington Times columnist and Fox News contributor, Mercedes SCHLAPP.
It's
Mercedes,
great to be here.
Great to have you back. Well, big inauguration week. It's been a different type of inauguration. I mean, the feeling of it. You and I witnessed a number of these.
Right.
How is this one different?
Maybe because we're getting older, so we're becoming more skeptical.
For shame.
No, I think there's the city is filled with a mix of excitement and tension. Mm-hmm. So you're walking through the streets, and you're definitely running into the "Make America Great Again" red hat supporters. You could see that they're just so thrilled to be in the nation's capital. However, there's the other side of it. You're talking. Thousands of protesters, some of them being led by Hollywood elitist Michael Moore and several other actors. And so there is this sense of the division that I think is being experienced within our nation, especially with those who really are having a hard time accepting the fact that Donald Trump will be sworn in Friday and will be the next president of the United States.
Yeah. I want to share this with you. In a press conference earlier on Thursday, Pence noted that the transition team had come in on time and under budget, Trump style. Watch this.
I'm especially pleased, I know the president-elect is especially pleased, that we're wrapping up this transition on schedule and under budget. We will actually return some 20% of taxpayer funding back to the U.S. Treasury, and that is just exactly in keeping with the president-elect's expectations.
Again, we kind of see this, routine kicking in where you have companies investing in the U.S. again, and now they're coming in under budget. What does this mean?
There's definitely a change in Washington where politics will no longer be stale, where the way federal bureaucracy has worked in the past, there could be substantial change. Now, it will be interesting how the bureaucracy will resist these changes. But I mean, Donald Trump today and his team, they announced that they're going to be they're going to have significant federal spending cuts in discretionary funds in several programs through different departments, like the Commerce Department, Energy Department, try to cut duplicative programs. It's going to be a whirlwind. And I don't know if Washington is necessarily ready for this type of change that's coming their way.
Okay, you brought it up. There was a Hill report today, and it basically says they're going to shrink commerce and energy. The State Department would be cut back. Certain programs in justice would be cut. And then they're talking about the privatization of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the elimination of the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities. Wise move or too much?
No, I think we got to understand the Donald Trump phenomenon. First of all, we know that Republican presidents in the past have always tried to shrink government. George W. Bush had tried to push that back then, and guess what? He grew government. I think that there's a reality that the president is going to face, which is the fact that you are going to submit a budget to Congress, and then guess what, Raymond? Congress comes back.
Sends it back to you.
And what's going to be interesting is that then you can see the infighting where the conservative Republicans will be more in line with Donald Trump. The moderate Republicans might stand with the Democrats and say, wait a second, this is too much cutting of the federal budget. So I think it's going to be we're going to go back to the negotiating table, and that is exactly where, if anyone can shrink the government, it will be Donald Trump.
Okay. Trump's press secretary, Sean Spicer, held his first press conference since just before the inauguration, and he accused the Democrats of not working to ensure continuity of government regarding confirming Trump's cabinet picks. Watch.
I think what's a shame right now is to see some of those individuals who we would call consensus candidates, people who they didn't even find a problem with, people like Secretary Elaine Chao, Ben Carson, Nikki Haley, suddenly not be part of Senator Schumer's list that he will work with us to get done on day one. And I think that it really speaks volumes that the Democratic leadership is not working with us to ensure a continuity of government.
What's happening?
Well, interestingly enough, when it was President Obama and he made his cabinet picks, 7 of his cabinet nominees were confirmed day one. The Democrats are dragging their feet. They're blaming it on the ethics office by not having all the paperwork in. I mean, have you seen those hearings? 4 to 5 hours of brutal questioning, trying to figure out a way to in any way take out any of these cabinet nominees. So for right now, the Democrats are using a stalling tactic, which is not going to work because these cabinet nominees are going to get confirmed.
Now, 60 Democratic members plus are refusing to attend the inaugural. They're not going to be there. They're not there. Your thoughts on what this does to the atmosphere here in D.C., particularly on the Hill? Does this kind of just solidify this blind opposition, ideological opposition to the new president?
Well, I think I can find 60 Trump supporters who would love those seats. But I find it very unfortunate because, as we know, one of the symbolic moves in this nation is the fact that you do have the peaceful transfer of power. You may completely disagree with the candidate or the president-elect, but I think that for the sake of America, for the sake of showing some sort of unity, you might disagree on him on policy or you might not like the guy, but I think that it's a matter of being there to support this peaceful transfer of power. And that's why I'm very disappointed with the direction that these Democrats have taken.
Well, let's talk about the former president, Barack Obama, who is in Washington, D.C. The first time in 100 years we've had a president stay behind in D.C. Your thoughts on what that might portend? I mean, he's not going to go quietly into that good night. He's even said, look, if as a citizen I see Donald Trump moving in a direction that's out of line with our values, I'm going to speak up.
President Obama is waiting till the very last second or millisecond to leave the White House. Just today, he announced that he was commuting sentences for additional prisoners. He's trying to move forward. He actually funded like a United Nations program today. I mean, till the very last minute, Raymond, he's not giving up the power that easily. And the one thing about this president, unlike President George W. Bush, who decided he was going to go paint these beautiful oil paintings, that is not the case with Obama. He recognizes the fact that his party is in disarray. He feels that he was the quote-unquote savior of the Democratic Party back in the day, and he's going to stay focused on recruiting candidates, on ensuring that the Democrats can come together as a nation, and I think that as a party. So I think that he's going to stay in a very active role in the Democratic Party and will be a very vocal opponent of President-elect Trump.
What do you think of this commuting the sentence of Bradley, now Chelsea Manning, this private who leaked 750,000 documents that really endangered the lives of informants as well as our own people in the field? He had a 35-year sentence, or no, she had calling he, she, I can't follow it all.
Right.
But the private Manning had a 35-year sentence. He only served 7 of those years. Your thoughts?
I think that it's a big mistake on the part of President Obama, someone who obviously defended Hillary Clinton when on her mishandling of classified emails. Here you have the case of, for example, Manning giving information to WikiLeaks in such a way that did endanger the lives of our servicemen and women, and those are. That's what Mike Pence called, and Senator Tom Cotton, a traitor. Yeah. And I think that there are other people. I understand those that with the drug sentencing that maybe were too harsh, and they've done rehabilitation. But this is a case of national security and a breach of our national security because of this private. And I almost feel that it was a political move for the LGBTQ community, where because he was transgender, that it was the opportunity to give them something. That's the way this president functions. He functions based on identity, whether it's color, race, gender, and it makes you question if that was part of his reasoning to shorten the sentence.
I want to shift gears for a moment, talk about something that seems frivolous, but it does have, I think, some impact. Madame Tussauds, the world-renowned wax museum, unveiled their image of Donald Trump this week. Now, I'm going to put this on the screen for you just so you can see it. It is a less than flattering, I think, image of the new president. He's scowling. He's looking off to the side. I mean, we'll put up the pictures of President Obama and Richard Nixon that, frankly, look better than Trump. Is this a dig, do you think? Yet
I
another?
don't know, but it definitely it'll keep the Wax Museum a popular place because individuals might want to go in and just tell the difference between the Obama and the Trump wax figures.
Even if he's scowling at you.
Oh. But he's got that look. You know, it can be very it could be very sweet, but at the same time, you know, the Trump tough look.
Well,
it's a tough guy look.
But you've seen him smile. I just thought it's the most unflattering moment. I mean, any of us, and we've seen still shots of us on television.
Right.
You know, they can always get you. That's the worst thing you want. That's the last image you want in a wax, effigy, and yet. Here it is. I felt bad when I saw it. Now, you and your husband, Matt, are doing a new XM show, XM Sirius show.
Right.
The Road to CPAC.
That's right.
This is a short-term show, sort of like a limited series on Netflix.
It is like a, it's like Downton Abbey.
There you're the Downton Abbey
yes, the Downton
of
Abbey.
XM series. You had Steve Bannon, who really hasn't done any interviews on your show. What did he tell you?
Steve Bannon spoke about where Trump's heart is, which is that of the working class, which is his understanding of where the nation was headed, in the sense that there were those individuals who felt left behind in this political process, in this elitist process, and he spoke about the importance of Trump recognizing that and being able to bring those people to support him. And so it was a fascinating conversation. One thing about Steve Bannon, he's actually very humble. He doesn't do a lot of press, but he understands clearly why America's so exceptional, why we have to protect our borders, why we need to ensure that we have laws in place to ensure who's coming in and out of our country, and also where we could help the working class in terms of improving their lives from an economic standpoint.
What does he and what do you think are going to be the bloodiest battles of these first 100 days? What's going to be the ugliest moment, do you think?
Well, I think Obamacare is going to be the dismantling of Obamacare, figuring out the replacement plan, because I think what you're going to find is that Trump is going to push Congress hard. He wants them to repeal and replace simultaneously, and what we're seeing is that the Republicans are not necessarily agreeing on how exactly they're going to replace Obamacare, although they've had 7 years to think about it. So I think that's going to be battle number one, and the fact that he is going to be like the CEO coming in and saying, we need this done by this date. So you're going to see these congressional staffers working probably like 24 hours a day.
Oh, par for the course for them.
Exactly.
We're getting our
no
money's
more
worth.
of these free sessions where you take off a week or two.
No more vacations.
Exactly.
Just work for the first 100 days.
Right.
As was consistent with his predecessors, President Trump went to St. John's on the Hill, or just by the White House, before his inauguration. There was an interfaith prayer service before his inauguration, and then the day following on Saturday, there's another prayer service at the National Cathedral. The importance of faith here. Why do that in a secular republic?
Well, our founding fathers were men of God. I mean, they really were. And I think that you find that not only in our traditions, but when you look at Trump himself, even when he was on the campaign trail, there were plenty of Christians, Catholics who would not only pray for him, but prayed over him, put their hands over him, and basically pray for this election and for his success. And I think that is something that is so part of our tradition as a nation. And I think, it is about one nation under God. It is such a powerful message that we need to continue to protect that message throughout our nation, because we are a people of faith. And I think it's important that we keep those traditions because of the fact that I do believe that God really has blessed America.
Thank you, Mercedes. We will check in with you in the days ahead. You can catch Mercedes along with her husband, Matt, on their new radio show, The Road to SCHLAPP, Saturdays at 9 to 10 a.m. on SiriusXM, channel 125.